Ghana last month. And the question tonight is, what do we do with all that information from that trip? And there was many things that we saw that were finished, but tonight let's talk about what may get started. And we talked about schools, we talked about medical equipment and hospitals. Part of that was because David got sick on our trip. And so every town that we went into, we went to a hospital with David. And so David Michaud, David and Sarah should be arriving tonight from Scotland. So they have made it the entire way through Ghana to London and then to Scotland and hopefully tonight home. So part of it, Shell brought a baby incubator with her. And we have known many Rotarians who work in the hospitals, but they haven't been able to tell us what their needs were. And so going into the hospital with David, we saw the needs in Sunyani. And so how do you go from seeing the need to making a project? And I'd like to talk about that a little bit tonight. With the partnerships, we have the ability to have Rotary and medical equipment nonprofits working together. And we'll typically fund shipping costs. And we'll buy a shipping container or rent a container with the NGO that we will buy brand new. And so the next steps will be developing a needs assessment for the hospital. And that will be driven mainly by the hospital staff to decide what it is that they need. And then we'll work on that with them to come up with that list. And we'll probably work with supplies overseas. They have a new name called SOS. And they've worked with Peter Verbeek in the Bahamas with some medical equipment after the hurricane. So, but we worked with them in Ghana last year in the northwest corner of Ghana. So, Shell, you want to say anything about next steps on that medical project?
Well, we're getting the needs assessment, and I think Farmville Club is actually interested in being the host, international host for that project. I think Sue took that to her club and dangled that in front of them this week, maybe. So we'll do the needs assessment. The other component will be to pull in the rural health centers to take on the incubator part of that. So we'll be getting both the hospital that we visited and pulling in the Tain district and the Sunyani districts community health centers there. So they have those, so that we're getting the maternal and child health pieces of it. And when they get to the hospital, we're supporting the hospital with the medical pieces of it. So Sunyani Central is on board as being the host part of that. Kofi is there. They've already started the training and looking at what they have in terms of the inventory of the equipment they have on board. And then Charity is on board with looking at the health centers in the rural areas and what they need. So
Sue, what was your reaction from your club when you proposed that project?
So they were really extremely excited. I told them about our experience in Sunyani Municipal Hospital and about the Warmilu incubator, and also about the fact that we watched in person cesarean section, watched the baby come out and everything. And I showed them pictures of the maternity ward, and I explained, most of these Rotarians have been to my house, and I explained to them that, you know, my living room is probably larger than their entire maternity ward. And so they had no idea how needy, they had no idea about the needs in Ghana until we came back. And so they were really, really excited to participate in something like this, because we've never actually led a global grant before. So we will need a lot of support from Shell and from others. We'll need a lot of guidance, but we're really, really excited. We do have the excitement going. So
that's great. Yeah, that's how it starts. We have to find a club in Ghana, and that's Sunyani Central, and then a club here in the US or Canada. And then at that point, we begin to build the relationship. And in this case, Grace Aloco, I call her our ambassador because she welcomes every team. But she hasn't had a voice to say, this is what, we need a project for the hospital. So having Grace now say, your voice is important, and what you can do makes a big difference. So I am excited about Grace having that voice and really helping her hospital. So we will definitely be right behind you, Sue, and the Farmville Rotary Club to get that project going. And then we will bring in clubs in other districts to have a grant, probably about $30,000 to $40,000. And if we help other, they're called CHIPS compounds. They're the community health center clinics that if they are able to be included, we can do more stuff to deliver babies throughout the Bono region. So now the question will be, do we help one hospital? Do we help multiple hospitals? And which CHIPS compounds can we help? Okay, so this is how I get started. It starts with a dream. And in this case, a Rotarian is dedicated and working in that hospital. So it gives us insight on the need. And I think having David Michaud, he was very scared being a patient in that hospital in Sunyani. So it's the reaction. And there's so many things they wanted to help David Michaud with, but they're just not at the hospital. So it makes it really hard. Okay, the next step is we looked at several schools. We looked at a location called Hilltop, and it's a school location we saw last year. And we went to southeast of Kumasi. And we had very different reactions when we saw both school sites. Odomasi is an existing school with 3 or 4 existing school blocks and one school block that was built in 1897. And we asked them to raise money, which they did. We asked them to contribute by cleaning up the school grounds with old foundations that were laying around. And they bulldozed the site, but they didn't really clean up the rebar and the concrete. They just kind of moved it around. And their question was, what would Rotary do to help them? And it wasn't about what they were doing to help themselves. Whereas when we went to Hilltop, it was a very different environment. And our team fell in love with the kids.
So we had to choose between Odomasi or the Hilltop as our priority. And I think the team consensus both in February and when we looked at it again this time, looking at the education, the school, the greatest need continues to be the Hilltop school. So the Rotarians in Kumasi are now doing the community assessment at the Hilltop school. They're meeting with the district chief executives and the educational directorate to start the MOU process. And they're using a lot of the same templates that we've used in the Tain district to have great success in Suranazi and in Krankram for those projects. So they're learning that process. But give us your feedback when we went to well, some of you didn't see the Otomasi school because that was a day that we kind of split the team a
Get the
little
day
bit.
off.
Yeah.
Well, for
Yeah.
me, it was like Shell said, you know, you have everything in writing that you need to assess the situation, but then when you actually go and see it, because I didn't see it back in February, I mean, it was kind of a no-brainer when you look at the situation and the circumstances of that project.
And part of it was the decision by Prince and Nana that there was conflict between the community on the Otomasi school. So they have been debating for a decade whether to build a new school block or renovate the old school block. And so they didn't want to be involved in being in the middle of that conflict. So it made it easy to say Otomasi was not the place where we should build a school. And then the other question is who should lead that grant? And we chose Prince George County, right? That's our goal for leading the Hilltop School. So it's exciting. We got Farmville with one school. We got Prince George County with another, with another project. So many of our team members coming back with projects to lead. And that's very exciting. And I think for me, the one takeaway from this trip was seeing the dedication of the Incrankram and Sornazi schools. I saw it live, but that video and having the drone flying over the school and just seeing that there's nothing around those schools. And it just, those videos just made me cry and smile and cheer. And there's just so many emotions because it's so hard to get those schools going. So much of what we're doing on these trips is seeing what's been done. But what's exciting about this trip was we were able to see many things that need to get done. And you had input on what we could do about those projects. And Peter and I went to Nigeria. And what is exciting about the Nigerian project is teaching future leaders with passion how to do the work we're doing in Ghana. And our vision is that we're able to share that knowledge of partnership and empowerment with any Rotarian anywhere who wants to learn how to transform lives. And that's a big part of what we want to do in the future, is to teach those leaders how to lead these projects. And Lisa, you've been quiet tonight, but Lisa on this trip and Susan, all of you had so many ideas of what could be done and how you could have an impact on communities in Ghana. And so equipping you, that's the future.
So what are your future plans, Walter?
Well, I am about to go to Ethiopia for 2 months. I didn't expect it. I mean, the training in Nigeria was good, but then the last week in Africa was planning how to train 5,000 microflush toilet makers. And then they will build 50 to 60,000 microflush toilets over the next year. And we're bringing in 8 expert microflush toilet makers from Ghana, Uganda, and Kenya to train in Ethiopia. And so Michael Anakazi happens to be one of those expert makers who will join me in Ethiopia. And so it's something that has never happened before. We're working with U.S. Agency for International Development and Catholic Relief Services and Global Sustainable Aid Project to teach people how to have a business, how to pay for their families' education and all the other work. So it's exciting to be a part of that. And if we're successful, then sanitation will change for all of Africa.
Because the standard toilet in Ethiopia has been a pit latrine.
Right. And really, Catholic Relief Services is willing to try the microflush because nothing else has succeeded. So we're hoping now that with that microflush, we will have a transformation so that the pit latrine will not be used anywhere in the future, and that's our hope. And so the message to Rotarians, when you're building a project, don't include the pit latrine in your funding plans. So that's why I'm spending the next 2 months in Africa, which I've never done before. I mean, I'll go for a month at a time, but not three out of 4 months. So, but the dream is so big that I want to be a part of it. Any questions?
Yeah, Walter, how many people benefit from just one of these microflush toilets?
Well, the household size in Ghana is about 20 people. The household size in Ethiopia is about 5 people. And what's been fascinating hearing about Michael Amber's son's project on the microflush, he's created a smaller version of the microflush. And so part of our desire is to try to design a new microflush that will serve 5 people versus 20. And the school block will support about 40 people. And so we're looking to build household toilets, and we'll build some for schools. And a school block will support 300 to 1,000 students.
Wow.
So we'll build about 17 school blocks and about 10 clinic toilet facilities. But all the work we're doing has to be market driven. It cannot be charity. So we've got to teach people how to take a loan out for a toilet, or how to pay for a toilet out of the farm proceeds. So it's a very different model than what we've done with Rotary, because most of our work has been subsidized in Ghana, with a portion of that being loans. But it's the total opposite in Ethiopia. It's all going to be loans or outright payments for a home toilet.
I guess what my question was really getting to is, have you crunched the numbers of how many people you're going to impact?
About 250,000 people.
Fantastic. It's amazing.
Yeah. And the reason Rotary is able to help, or a Rotarian is able to help, because we've scaled it to 1,000 acres in Ghana. And so we want to go from 1,000 acres to 5,000 acres. So that's our goal, is to do what we've done in Ghana, but blow it up in a much bigger scale. And our thought is, if we can get to 250,000 people in Ethiopia, then it may impact the entire country of Ethiopia. And if that happens, then we can impact Ghana and Kenya, Nigeria, and just all the places we need things to happen. Any other questions?
I think I'll just
Sam?
like to add for those individuals that don't know Walter or are not familiar with what has happened in Ghana over the past several years. I did not know this until I actually was on the site, but Rotarians in Ghana have this saying about Walter. It's where Walter goes, the water flows. That's how famous he is in Ghana. So he is truly, as a human being and a Rotarian, brought a lot of good faith to Ghanaians.
And I was happy to be one of the token men on this trip. It was definitely a female trip with a few guys.
It was definitely female driven, no doubt. And it was, I think, like a lot of us have talked on WhatsApp, the team dynamic this year was, I think what we've built is unbreakable. Like, we've got a very strong bond between each other, and Lisa and I've been talking on the side on chat when we're gonna do our reunion. But it is like
about things you can talk about and not talk about.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's right. I told Tim, I said, you won't get our inside jokes. And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, exactly. You just won't get them. But I think we
Walk away, Amber. Walk away.
walk away, Sue, walk away. How many times am I going to text that to you every day? Oh God. Anyway, I loved everything about this trip because of the people. And I know we said that like at our last dinner together or our last supper together, but really I've been on trips with Walter, and this was the best one for me to end my Ghana journey. It was my last trip.
It's
You say that now.
Yeah, she says that now.
Yeah, she doesn't have the willpower not to go back.
Oh,
You know,
but my husband does. He told me no.
I really enjoyed having all of you on the trip. Part of it is I've been so many times that I lose the impact. And just seeing Bethany with the kids and seeing Susan just celebrating. So, I mean, everything Susan just captured with a huge smile, the celebration. And Lisa, I saw her mind just whirling with ideas. And so I saw all the future projects that Lisa will develop. I just know that's going to happen. And then I knew that David Rosenthal was behind us with whatever we needed. And Peter has gone on several trips. But Peter, the joy of seeing the school open at Soranazi, Peter it was so emotional for him that those kids have a school. And Sue, I just really enjoyed you and your stories and the celebration. So part of it is having the celebration with Rotarians there, but having a team from the U.S. come. It's able to share it with a group of Rotarians. And many of us didn't know each other before the trip. But we have a special bond now.
I'd like to interject a couple of words as well. First of all, it's great to see my teammates. And it all comes down, I think, that we're part of an amazing organization with Rotary, and to see the impact of projects. And it's just not in overseas projects, but things that we do in our own community as well, how we have life-changing power to do amazing things. And it's so rewarding. There's so much need out there, and it becomes very difficult sometimes to make decisions and say, okay, well, let's do this versus not something else, but where the greater need is definitely part of the conversation. And for me, going to Nigeria and sharing with my classmate there and a lot of other Rotarians to learn first how to make microflush toilets where they can go out in the community, start making a living, and making amazing changes not only for their own lives, but for others. And so we went through the whole scenarios of how to do a global grant and an exercise of doing an impact and community development statement. And all these people, we kind of made it clear before we got there, we're just here to teach you to make contacts. We cannot get involved in other projects. Well, let me tell you, I don't know about you, Walter, but I have 10 or 12 of these PEs and presidents. Please help us out. It's like, you can't take on anymore, but get involved, find contacts, see what you can do, and just teaching how to use the Rotary Foundation and the community of who we are and working together is really what it's all about. And I'm going to piggyback also with some of the words that were said here, that it's just an amazing thing. And I've been on a lot of these trips and other places, but yes, this particular trip was for me just the most amazing thing, the way we bonded and became, as far as I'm concerned, friends for life. And it's pretty cool stuff. Anyway, that's it.
Well, I think part of what we've learned on this trip is that it's hard to decide what to do and what not to do. And there's such a great need. And as Rotarians, we have the opportunity to make that difference. But we've got to choose which kids get a school, which kids do not, and which hospital gets help and which hospital does not get helped. And it takes a lot of discernment to figure out where exactly we should make a difference. And sometimes you have to go with your heart. And it's just, it's heart-wrenching to tell one community no. But what we've learned is to empower the communities. So now they're taking the lead, and if they've taken the lead, then it's easier to follow their lead. And it's not all about us making a difference. And so that's the difference. Is we've got so many people and for a team.
We heard a little bit of that.
Driving out Rotary Club this morning, it's hard to listen to your conversation, ask those relationships and friendships that you've made, and how those friendships will turn into projects. Well, Sam, what do you think?
I know. I really wanted. I don't know where Sam went, but Sam is actually going to be speaking for the E Club in March. Is that right, Sam?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I think this is fantastic, Walter. I've heard a lot about the work you all have been doing, and I know you got to see some of the projects we've been involved in Uganda. I know you traveled with George Carnes there, so excited to learn more about this micro flush component as well. When are you going to be heading to Ethiopia, and whereabouts in Ethiopia will you be?
Booty.
I am going to Dir Adawa,
Djibouti.
which is near Djibouti,
Yeah.
and the country of Somalia.
You just wanted to say booty.
I just wanted to say it. Djibouti. He's going to Djibouti.
So I will commute to work on a camel, and I'll be living in the desert. So it's nothing like I've ever done before. So it's not like going to Ghana where I know every corner and I've done everything. It's going to be, I have no idea what I'm doing, where I'm going, but it's going to be an adventure.
Or what you're eating.
That's exciting.
Or what I'm eating, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
if
No lunch.
We won't get lunch.
I bet he'll get lunch. We never did.
if I could.
Yeah, that's for sure. We went hungry a few times.
yeah, the microflush uses earthworms to break down the waste into compost. So it's really washing your hands with a cup of water and it flows into the toilet for the next flush. And so it's a very simple technology, and it's made a huge difference. Anything else, Sam?
Can't wait to learn more about it. Fantastic. No, I keep up the great work, and excited to stay in touch. I'll follow up with you offline with some more in-depth questions. And I'm going to be in Africa for a month myself, all over East Africa. So I might try to swing by Ethiopia for a day or two if my schedule allows. But I'll follow up with you offline on that.
So what country in East Africa?
All over Rwanda, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, South Sudan, and Somalia at the moment.
South Sudan.
Yeah. From the leaving the 24th of this month, starting mid-November.
Wow. We've got projects in Uganda and Tanzania and Kenya.
And South Sudan. Well, finished projects.
Sam, is this a Rotary trip, or are you going with your business or a vacation?
Yeah, Sam, you should tell them what you do.
So the organization that I run, we do we're an nonprofit. We do projects around water, sanitation, and hygiene. My apologies if you're having a hard time hearing me. I'm in Switzerland right now, actually, so the internet connection is a little spotty. But we do water, sanitation, hygiene projects, bringing in water access, bringing in access to hygiene supplies, bringing in access to education around all those elements. So we've actually partnered with Rotary on a couple of projects, the largest one being the Samawari Memorial Project in Tororo, Uganda. So I'll be visiting that for the official handover with Rotary on the 26th of this month, and then I go and visit other non-Rotary projects that my company runs in the region.
What's your company called, Sam?
Oh,
Clean the World Foundation. We're at cleantheworldfoundation.org.
wow. So tell Jimmy Sarugu and George Carnes hi for me.
Definitely will. Yeah, we'll see them both in a couple of weeks.
And I was in Marquette in April, so I wish I was there to celebrate with you.
Well, we will certainly be thinking of you, Walter, and grateful for everything you've been doing over there.
Great. Well, as far as the school, we are working on the needs assessment. We're working on the paperwork. It's kind of like we're giving the community this month to get their project in order. So I really hope we can build a junior high school in the Masai area of Kenya. And so David Rosenthal's club, Hampton Roads, will be leading that project if we can get that off the ground. And I've been talking with the club presidents and with the community saying it's make or break time. So we're getting some key contacts, and that's a whole new effort.
You've already given us one bait and switch. Let's not do another one.
That's right. So anyway, Paul, it's good to see you, buddy. How are you doing?
All is well. Just sitting in my car right now, enjoying this great Rotary talk.
Well, it's I never imagined that we could be doing so many things and talking about East Africa, West Africa, Ghana, Tanzania, Nigeria, Ethiopia. But the network, and Sam Awari was a great Rotarian, and his wife was Nora. And Nora was the one who said, "You're going to Uganda." And I said, "Nora, I work in West Africa. I don't go to East Africa." And Nora goes, "I have the gift of prophecy. You are coming to Uganda." And when I arrived in Uganda, she said, "See, I have the gift of prophecy. You are in Uganda." So as you begin to meet people in Rotary, you make friendships that last a lifetime. And I think Amber is a testimony to that, because there hasn't been anybody that she hasn't met that she didn't fall in love with and just cherish. Grace Aloko and Rose and Eric and Frank. I mean, there's so many people that we have met that are very special in our lives now. So, and this team, there's a huge investment in this team, because I see all of you as leaders and doing what we've been doing, but it's time to think about what you can do. And like Susan, your club was the final contributors to 2 grants. So each of you have really made a big difference. And I think this is just the beginning of that investment in the future. Bethany, what are your thoughts?
You're still muted, babe.
I know, sorry.
Muted.
Sorry I was late. My thoughts. I loved Ghana. It was great. I gave my Ghana presentation today to my community club, and they loved it. I had a woman come up and say, "Do you have a card?" And I was like, no. So she wants to know about Rotary and how to be involved. She was a missionary somewhere in Africa, and so it really related to her. And so I'm going to get with her later this week and just talk to her about Rotary and E-Club. And it was really cool. So I really enjoyed it.
And Sam, I really feel like, I think everybody else agrees with me. I feel like Alan Quigley is such a great contact for you. And I have talked to him about you, but I think I'm going to go ahead and do I'm going to introduce you via email, if that's okay.
Yeah, that sounds great, Amber. I appreciate that.
Okay. And Walter, it's 7:44. This is the longest E-Club meeting I've ever had. Usually they're 20 minutes and then we tell each other goodbye. And I forgot to tell everybody in the beginning, you are being recorded. So it will be put on my YouTube video. So if anybody wants to hear about this, you can share it with them, and then I will share it with you guys via email. But I'm going to go ahead and put this meeting to an end.
Real quick, Amber, just wanted to say thanks for getting those meetings on YouTube. It has been nice to catch up as I've missed them. They are good, and I've been enjoying the programming tremendously.
Thank you, Paul, and I miss you, and I'm glad you were here tonight. It's
yeah, I'm sorry I've been AWOL.
That's okay. That's the whole point of this club, is so we can, miss meetings and still make them up by watching YouTube videos. It's pretty laid back. So I'm glad you were here tonight, and everybody else, thanks for showing up. And when Sam speaks, I will send everybody from my dream team an invite, and David also. Thanks for being here. And I will make sure you guys get to hear what Sam says about his organization. He left in the chat, if nobody knows, there's a group chat on the right side. He gave you the website to his foundation, which is really amazing. And I think I'm going to leave it here. I miss you guys way, way, way too much. I did not expect that. So
we'll see you in a few weeks, right?
No, I can't. We have a job here in town. There's a shutdown happening, and so we need both engineer brains, and I have to actually work.
Darn day job.
I was like, I put in WhatsApp #adulting because it always gets in the way. But if they happen to cancel, which they're known to do, I'll see you guys on the 24th. But that's another good announcement is World Polio Day is October 24th. And then also World Toilet Day is November 19th. And that's when that's the day my son is presenting in Chicago for the new microflush toilet design, which Walter has seen.
Well, I'll see you all on the 24th. I plan to be there.
Okay. Thank you for your leadership, Amber.
Oh, thanks, Walter. If it wasn't for you taking me on my first Rotary trip 4 years ago, I wouldn't be a president today.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's your fault. But thanks, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting and stop the recording, and I will talk to everybody, my members and my team and my family, very soon. Love you guys.
Okay. Love all of you.
Have a good night.